Bleeding heart. This picture invites a lot of wonder and curiosity. This is what I call finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. His stance alone defies ordinary perception of the human being. No shirt, the fuzzy bunny ears, cigarettes, the smoke, and the red, hand-painted bleeding heart. All of these things seem so mundane, yet in this picture put together, they seem so extremely miraculous in trying to annotate our own meaning out of this photograph. At first glance, I wonder what everybody else sees first. Do they look at the bleeding heart first? Do they look at the fuzzy bunny ears? How about the structure of his body? His hair? Do you wonder what it would feel like? What color it is? Or his Adam's apple? His chin? His shoulders? Or the fact that the smoke is not coming out of his mouth, but his nose instead? What do people think of each component in this photograph? The fluffy bunny ear sitting atop his crown evokes whimsical or even erratic thinking. It catches the eye. It brings a fatuous viewpoint to the man in the photo, or maybe not to him as an individual, but to the context of why the photograph was taken, or who it was taken by. It brings a feeling of trust and friendliness when looking at him. Even his posture is something to be talked about in this photo. It is casual, yet contemplative, maybe even a bit enigmatic. It seems like he is leaning on a balcony or some type of overhead structure looking down to the rest of the world, his shoulders holding the weight of his head leaning forward. He is caught in a moment of deep reflection, disconnected from the rest of the world, thinking on a statement or a question, or maybe even something as simple and complex as an interaction. He hopes to find an answer to his never-ending train of thought. What does his train of thought consist of? Is it regret, reminisce, loneliness, happiness? Maybe it's a mixture of all, or even more. The cigarette he holds, its existence, slightly unobstructive amongst everything else. Yet it is the cause of the most obstructive piece in the photograph, the smoke. The smoke that is gushing out of his nose, that then turns to tendrils of smoke flowing through the air like fairy dust, meeting up with the broad, empty space in which he looks out on. The space filled with thoughts and desires yet to be answered. His face numbs with thought, his distant expression wanting so desperately to stay this way forever, feeling a sense of serenity and liminality, looking onto and into the void we call earth and space in front of him. The ash from the cigarette, like past fireworks, both known for their ephemeral nature, falling to the earth and then going out before having a chance to envelop yourself in its essence. Its incredibly fragile makeup flakes into the atmosphere as it has its debut on the ground. A reminder that some extraordinary things are only transient. Both have liminal and sensory impact as well. The cigarette smoke is someone's stress being let go of, the smell of someone's hard, stressful day being released into the broken world. Fireworks are being shot into the sky to remind people of how beautiful the world is. This picture shows how beautifully stressed someone can be. Not even stressed, but someone who needs to decompress because he doesn't know how to feel in that moment. In this moment of desperation and liminality, you can see such intense beauty and individuality. The red, hand-painted heart, so ominous, so intense, so scary, so childish, and yet beautiful nonetheless. Amidst the striking portrait, a bright red, muted yet amplified hand-painted bleeding heart. This heart, painted with such rawness of human emotion, adds a layer of emotional depth to this picture. It raises question about what the author's intentions were with the project. Is it a symbol of love and affection? Or perhaps this is a play into the juxtaposition of childlike innocence and experience, symboling the man's inner emotion and conflict. Altogether, this photograph captivates an unusual combination of elements, both easy and rough, that make you want to explore the existential takeaways. Where so many interpretations exist, where so many questions arise as to why the photograph is taken and its context. Like, why does he have fuzzy mouse ears on? Why is he smoking a cigarette? What emotion is he feeling? What did he just finish doing, if anything at all? What is he doing currently? So many questions and never enough answers for anyone to ever be satisfied. Author's note. Hello, my name is Keith Mickler, and I am at UNF studying interdisciplinary health studies, double minoring in public health and health administration. I am so happy to be able to be a part of something like the Voice of the People project here at MOCA. Thank you for listening to my essay, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed writing it. This photograph caught my attention because of all the different intensities of its elements. The raw emotion and mixed intention with this photograph were enticing enough to be my final decision. The red, dripping, bleeding heart was one of my favorite attributes to the photograph. There are so many different opportunities of interpretation of it, of what it could mean, or who put it there, and why they chose the specific medium, the colors, and the texture of it. The features of the man, his jaw, his hair, and other makes people attentive and interested. They chose to make the photo black and white instead of color. The blurred background. The blurred background by itself has its own story. It makes you wonder what story he is on, or where he is. I also question the dimensions of the photo. Why did they choose to make the photo an 8x10? It could have been a full-body portrait, to encapsulate the emotions or gestures he was showing. Again, so many questions, and never enough answers.
The Red Painted Heart. Our world is filled with about 7 billion people. 7 billion people that are breathing and learning to live every day. While everyone may not be actively looking for it, 7 billion people are looking for someone to love or may have already found them. How do you know when you found love? It's when that striking color red appears and never seems to go away. It makes the rest of the world go black and white. Love is a strange thing. It's different in many people's eyes. A flash of red can be seen if you are the love at first sight type of person. Red can slowly begin to grow and radiate for those who learn to love the person. Then red can slowly fade as the one you once loved isn't there anymore. Although the red may fade, it still stains. It remains there. It's like a heart that's painted on a window and slowly oozing down, smudging it forever. 1. Waking up for another day, not only can his alarm be heard, but the honking and sounds of New York can be heard right outside his window. Sometimes it's a pleasure to wake up to it when you're ready to start the day, but other times it's a real pain, and you just want everything to shut up. He gets up from his bed and continues every morning as he does. It's another day of work, while the pigeon on his windowsill gets to fly around the beautiful city and seek a new adventure. Why can't we all just fly and be free? Why stay tied down to work and be forced to earn money just to live? It's a terrible concept if you ask him. He leaves his small studio apartment that can be compared to a mouse hole. The air of the street hits him like it does every day, but something in the air seems different today. What is it? Maybe he will be able to leave work early? Will it be another crime scene he has to move past? Or maybe his favorite sub shop will make his order so great that it will hit different when he takes the first bite. Who knows what could happen? He did live in the Big Apple after all. Work was uneventful as always. Sheets of paperwork that feel like a long scroll of strict rules for a kingdom. Don't pass a minute over your break. There's a specific way to word this. Redo whatever we find displeasing. The machine in his brain was overworked and strained. All he could think about was taking a smoke to cool off and getting back to his mouse hole of an apartment to relax in his bed. Walking home was uneventful. He stopped to get food at the sub shop and carried it to go. Looking down at his shoes as he walked, he observed the concrete and how his shoes stepped upon it. The sound in his shoes made against the concrete rang through his ears, and he believed he could make a beat with it. The creation of music in his head abruptly stopped as his body crashed into another. An immediate apology was heard from the both of them, but once his eyes moved to the other, he was at a loss for words. A woman held his attention, one that was so beautiful that he felt he had seen an angel. But the white of an angel wasn't so prominent, but there it was, a flash of red, the flash of love. How could he love someone he just met? How does someone fall in love with someone they just met? They spoke, they introduced themselves, he joked while she laughed. An exchange of numbers happened. He didn't even realize how long they talked for. He didn't realize how tired he was from work. The strain seemed to be lifted by the angel before him, and as she left, all he could see was a small dash of red. 2. He lit his cigarette and took a smoke as he stared out the window of his apartment. His colors seemed to be blurred these days except for red. Red seemed to be striking amongst the colors, and he had no idea why. He pulled out a crate that was full of paint bottles and took out the red one. Dipping his fingers into the paint, he then drew a heart on his window. It wasn't the most perfect heart, but it would do. He took another smoke and admired the heart. He couldn't help but think back to the conversations he had with her for the past few weeks, the late nights they had after a hard day at work. She felt the same as him. She wanted to fly free like a pigeon and move past the chains of working society. Why work when you have the vast world upon you, she said. Oh, how her mind changed, from sightseeing in Paris to climbing Mount Everest, visiting pyramids or temples, and having a bucket list of every place she wanted to go. He wanted to go with her. He wanted to go every step of the way. Money is always the issue, but people can dream. He never wanted to bring up the downs of it all, when her eyes lit up like stars as she spoke. His heart would break if he ever was the one to make her lose that spark. They weren't official for a while, but it sure felt like it. Their friends had met one another. They would attend parties together. People could just tell there was love by the hesitation in how they touched, and how their eyes moved to one another like there was no one else in the room. Young love at its finest. Everyone could see the diamonds in white dress, while all the two could see was the radiating red. 3. Love is strange. He loved her, but constantly yelled at her. She fought back, but he never gave in. He smoked way more often than before. Work used to be his strain, but why did it feel as if she were now the chains? Did she still love him, he would ask himself? Did she question why he was always yelling? Nothing seemed to fit in the right piece of the puzzle, and those conversations were nothing but talking to a wall. They both wouldn't listen to one another. They both turned the other down to defend themselves. How could this happen? Weren't they in love? Why was the striking red fading day by day? It was hard for him to fix it all. They would never agree, and more words were spat, never said. A wall was built between them, and it seemed to be building higher every day. The sparks in her eyes that he loved so much were gone. All he could see in her was a dull void that reminded him of a Monday work morning. They both then knew when enough was enough. She was gone, yet still lingered in his life. He blew the smoke right on the heart that still stuck to his window. It was faded, but the red was still there. He rubbed it, splashed water onto it, did anything he could to get rid of it, but it stayed. When he got into new relationships, the red would always come back. A new bright red heart would be formed on his window and overlap the older ones. The older ones would never disappear. They remained stained on his window. Memories of every love he has ever experienced. Memories of love that he has learned from. Oh, that red. The red that opens and breaks his heart time after time. Love that will grow and fade until he finally finds the right one. Footnote 1. Gerard Murell, American, 1950 through 1991. Portrait of a man smoking with hand-painted heart. Photograph. 8x10. Author's note/bio. This piece, The Red Painted Heart, is my interpretation of Gerard Murell's photograph, Portrait of a Man Smoking with Hand-Painted Heart. I thought the photograph was quite striking, with how the red contrasted to the black and white color. The man's expression and how he stared at the red heart as well intrigued me. It made me ask questions such as, what is he thinking about? Is he in love, or is he getting over a love? This then made me think about how every picture has a story behind it. I wanted to create a narrative of this man going through the stages of love and how this red hand-painted heart is affected. My hope is that for those who read this, they are able to relate to it in some sort of way, as we all experience